You are a burden. Get out and never come back. Those were the first words that cut through the room, sharp enough to feel like they struck bone. My daughter Rowan did not just raise her voice. She hurled it at me as if she had been waiting years to release it. 2 weeks later, she would text me asking why I stopped paying the mortgage. But that night, all I could hear was her rage. My name is Maren Lockwood. I am 65. Rowan stood near the kitchen counter, her hands shaking. Her face flushed in a way I had only seen when she felt cornered. Jude, my son-in-law, hovered behind her with that familiar look, wide-eyed, silent, pretending he was not part of any of it. I could see his jaw working, but he said nothing. He always said nothing when it involved me. I mean it. Rowan snapped. Take your things and go. I cannot keep carrying you. Carrying me. The irony dug in quietly. The way cold water sinks into your shoes before you even react. I had paid their overdue utilities just last week. 2 months before that, I covered a roof repair. Before that, groceries during one of Jude's long stretches of unemployment. But none of that existed in her voice now. I looked at the hallway, our hallway, the one lined with pictures of birthdays, lost teeth, school recitals. I reached down and picked up the cloth bag I had brought with me, the same one I used when I helped her pack for college decades ago. It felt lighter than I expected. No one tried to stop me. Not Rowan. Not Jude. Their silence formed a narrow path between the living room and the front door, and I walked it without looking back. My hand trembled only once, when I touched the doorknob, outside. The night air felt colder than it should have. I stepped away from the house, from their accusations, from the version of me they had built in their minds. And as the door clicked shut behind me, I realized I had nowhere to go except forward. I started toward the street, carrying nothing but that small bag and the echo of Rowan's voice, and I kept walking until the lights of the house were out of sight. I did not know where I would sleep, only that I could not stay there another minute. The room smelled faintly of motor oil and old carpet. But it was mine, at least for the night. He hesitated for a moment. Most people don't rent to strangers at night, but eventually handed me the key. He only said, "It's quiet up there. Door sticks a little." Before returning to the garage lights behind him, his kindness was simple, unpolished, and it made the silence feel heavier. I closed the door and leaned against it, letting the weight of everything I carried settle into my chest. My cloth bag dropped to the floor with a soft thud. The space was small, a bed, a narrow dresser, a lamp, but I forced myself not to look at it too long. I didn't want to think about how quickly a life could shrink. I sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing my hands together for warmth. The rain outside tapped against the window with an impatient rhythm, the kind that used to soothe me when Rowan was little and I rocked her to sleep. Now it only reminded me that I had left a house that no longer wanted me. The quiet pressed against my ears until I had to say something just to hear sound again. "I'm okay," I whispered. It didn't feel true. My phone buzzed once in my pocket. I pulled it out, half expecting Rowan's name, half terrified it might appear. It was only a promotional text from a pharmacy. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. "You did the right thing," I told myself. "She wanted you gone. You left," but the words hung strangely in the air, like they didn't know where to land. I lay back on the thin mattress, pulling the blanket over my shoulders. The springs creaked under me, protesting the shift of weight. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the rain deepen, and tried to imagine what freedom was supposed to feel like. It didn't feel like this. I woke before sunrise, the thin mattress pressing into my back. The room was still, but my mind wouldn't stay quiet. It drifted the way it always did when I tried to understand how everything had gone wrong. The past had a way of slipping in uninvited. It started years ago, small favors, small asks. I remember Rowan calling me after work one evening, her voice tight. "Mom, can you pick up groceries? Just this once." Jude's hours got cut again. I didn't hesitate. Of course, I'll take care of it. Once became twice, and twice became every week. Then came the utilities. Mom, the power company messed up the bill. Can you pay it while we sort it out? They never sorted it out, but I paid it anyway. They insisted the roof patch was an emergency and begged me because they had no savings left. Each time Rowan would say, "We'll pay you back." And each time I'd smile and tell her not to worry. I was trying to be a good mother, the kind I believed she needed. I'd been widowed early. My husband died before Rowan finished high school, and guilt lived in me like a second spine. I thought if I carried more weight, she'd feel less grief. Instead, she learned I would always catch what she dropped. Tyler, my younger son, only made it worse. He'd slide onto the couch during visits, controller in hand, and say with a shrug, "Rowan's got it harder than me." "Mom, you know that?" He let her absorb everything while he floated through his own life untouched. They both knew I wouldn't push him. He was the golden child, the one I still saw as fragile even at 30. Somewhere along the way, covering the mortgage became normal too. Rowan would sigh dramatically and say, "Mom, we're short again." Just until Jude finds steady work. Jude never found steady work, but I paid the mortgage anyway. I told myself it was family. I told myself it was love. I never noticed when helping stopped being kindness and started becoming expectation. The days settled into routines I built out of necessity, not comfort. In the mornings, I heated a small pan of oatmeal cheap, quick, enough to keep me steady while I figured out what this new life looked like. Hal knocked on my door once, leaving a mug on the floor outside. "Coffee's fresh downstairs." He called, "Grab some if you want." "Thank you," I answered, my voice sounding smaller than I meant it to. In the afternoons, I walked along Ruston Way, keeping my steps slow so my breathing stayed even. I didn't linger on the water or the skyline. I focused on the rhythm of my shoes against the walkway. It helped keep the memories from pressing too loud. At a thrift shop on 6th Avenue, I bought a $5 lamp and a blanket cheap, but enough while I figured things out. The woman at the counter smiled softly. Starting fresh, she asked. I hesitated. Something like that. I didn't explain more. It felt like if I said the words out loud, my daughter kicked me out, it would shatter whatever thin balance I was holding on to. Evenings were the hardest. I'd sit on the bed with my phone face down next to me. My thumb hovered over the social media apps more times than I'd ever admit. I didn't want to see photos of Rowan's dinners or Tyler's jokes about family nights. I didn't trust myself not to read into every detail. Sometimes guilt slipped in quietly, like a shadow under the door. I'd whisper to myself, "You left because she wanted you gone." But the guilt stayed anyway. Still, there were moments, small, surprising ones, when I felt a breath of something close to peace. No one calling. No one needing money. No one waiting for me to fix anything. 2 weeks passed like that, steadier than I expected. Then my phone buzzed. One vibration, and everything I'd built began to crack. The buzz from my phone was small, almost polite. The kind of vibration that usually meant a reminder or a spam message. I picked it up without thinking. When I saw Rowan's name, my breath stopped in my throat. Her message was short. "Why did you stop helping with the mortgage? You know we can't cover it without you." For a moment, I thought my eyes blurred. That maybe grief or exhaustion twisted the words. I read it again and again. My stomach tightened the way it used to when Rowan was a teenager and slammed her bedroom door hard enough to rattle the frame. I whispered to the empty room, "You told me to get out. You told me never to come back." My thumb hovered over the screen as the memory of that night rushed forward her face. Red and furious. Jude's silence. The packed cloth bag at my feet. I remembered the weight of the doorknob in my hand, the cold air hitting my skin as I stepped outside. I remembered walking down the street, repeating the same sentence in my mind. "She wants you gone." Now she wanted my money. The unfairness pulsed hot and sharp under my ribs. I typed slowly, making sure each word was steady. I thought I wasn't welcome. I sent it. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then the phone lit up like a warning flare. First a call from Rowan, then another from Jude, then messages 1, 3, 5 stacking on top of each other until the screen struggled to keep up. My hand trembled as the device buzzed against my palm, vibrating so violently I had to set it down on the bed. The sound filled the room, relentless, desperate, familiar in a way that made my throat close. They didn't reach out when I left, not once, but the second the mortgage stopped. They remembered I existed. I stared at the flashing screen, listening to the calls roll in, one after another, as something cold settled in my chest. If they were this frantic over 1 month, what had they been hiding from me all along? The moment I set the phone down, it rang again. Then again. The vibration rolled across the thin mattress like a warning. I finally picked up on the 5th try, more out of exhaustion than willingness. Rowan's voice burst through immediately. "Mom, what are you doing? Why would you text something like that?" I kept my tone steady. "You told me to leave. I left." "That was different," she snapped. "You don't just stop paying the mortgage. We're already behind." There it was, the truth she didn't mean to reveal. My chest tightened. "I shouldn't be paying your mortgage at all," I said. "You know Jude's job still hasn't stabilized," she shot back. "And the house needs us to work together." Before I could answer, "Marin, it all happened too fast. We didn't expect you to actually leave. You abandoned us." "I didn't abandon anyone," I said. "I followed the order you screamed at me." Rowan's breath hitched, then softened into something fragile. "Mom, please. We're drowning. I'm trying." The shift from rage to guilt was so fast it almost hurt to listen. "I can't carry everything," I said quietly. Before she could respond, another call buzzed through. "Tyler." I let it ring twice, then answered. He didn't bother with hello. "Mom, what the hell is going on?" "Rowan's a mess. She told me to leave." I said, "Yeah, well, she didn't mean financially." "You know she gets dramatic." The words stung more than he realized. "Tyler, I've been covering things for years, you know that." He scoffed. "You're the responsible one. You've always handled it better than us." There it was, the role they handed me without asking. "Not anymore," I said. There was a long silence on his end. A heavy exhale, and then he muttered, "If you don't help, everything falls apart." The line disconnected, but the buzzing resumed almost instantly. Calls stacking one after another. Their panic filled the room like smoke, thick and frantic. Something was crumbling over there, something they'd been hiding far longer than I realized. I waited until the phone finally fell silent. Only then did I pick it back up. Not to call Rowan or Tyler, but to dial the bank. If they were behind, I needed to hear it from someone who wouldn't twist their voice into guilt or blame. A woman answered, calm and professional. "Thank you for calling. How can I help you today? I've been contributing to the mortgage for years. I'm listed as the emergency contact and payment contributor. Can you verify the account status? I've been contributing for years." There was a brief pause while she pulled up the account. I could picture her scrolling through numbers that had shaped my life more than my own choices had. When she spoke again, her tone shifted. "Ma'am, the last fully completed payment was 8 months ago. My breath caught. That can't be right. I sent money. I see several partial payments," she continued. "Small amounts. None meet the required monthly total. And there were months with no payment at all." I gripped the edge of the bed. "What about the funds I transferred? They should show up." "I'm sorry," she said gently. "None of the recent payments came from you directly." The words hit harder than anything Rowan screamed at me. I swallowed, trying to make sense of it. "Are you saying the money I sent them never went toward the mortgage that appears to be the case?" My fingers went numb. 8 months. 8 months of deception. 8 months of them taking my sacrifices and spending them somewhere else while letting the house slide toward danger. Is the property at risk? I asked. It's not in foreclosure, she replied, but it's heading in that direction if payments continue this way. I thanked her and hung up. My pulse pounding in my ears. They hadn't just leaned on me. They'd lied to me. They'd used my money to plug whatever holes existed in their lives while pretending everything was fine. I stared at the silent phone, feeling something in me shift. Something sharp. Something final. If they'd lied about the mortgage, what else had they been hiding? I didn't wait long. The truth from the bank still throbbed in my chest when I called Rowan back. She answered on the first ring, her voice already sharp. Mom, you can't keep ignoring I'm not ignoring anything. I said, I talked to the bank. Silence. A heavy, brittle kind. What she finally whispered. They told me the last full mortgage payment was 8 months ago. Partial payments, missed payments. Nothing from the money I sent you. My voice didn't shake. Not this time. Jude's voice cut in from behind her. That's not accurate. Banks mess things up all the time. They don't mess up 8 months. I replied. They don't lose payments that were never made. I heard Rowan inhale sharply. The sound of someone scrambling for a foothold. Mom, we had emergencies. You don't understand. You're right, I said. I don't understand why you used my money and let the house fall behind anyway. Jude tried again, louder. We intended to catch up. We're doing our best. You spent what I sent on something other than the house. What was it? Neither of them answered. Another call buzzed through Tyler. Before Rowan could protest, I merged them. What now? Tyler said, sounding irritated. I'm in the middle of something. You told me I'm the responsible one. I said, so let me repeat what responsibility looks like. 8 months of missed payments. Money diverted somewhere else. And 3 of you pretending I'm the problem. Rowan's voice cracked. Mom, please. We didn't mean stop. I said, just stop. For the first time, none of them spoke. The silence was different from before. Not avoidance, not superiority. It was the sound of people caught by truth they couldn't outrun. I've carried all of you for years, I said quietly. I'm done being the safety net. Rowan whimpered something soft. Jude exhaled hard. Tyler muttered a curse under his breath. I didn't absorb any of it. I'd finally stepped out of the role they wrote for me, and the air around me felt strange, like I was breathing for the first time. The moment I said I was done, Rowan's voice rose so fast it cracked. You can't do this. Mom, you can't just walk away. We'll lose the house. You put the house at risk. I said, not me. We had emergencies, she shouted. We had things come up. Jude's voice pushed in, hard and loud. If you stop helping now, everything collapses. We counted on you legally or not. You contributed for years. A court will see that as shared responsibility. I almost laughed. You think a judge will force a 65-year-old woman to pay for a mortgage she doesn't live under? You can try. It won't go far. You're unbelievable. Jude snapped. After everything we've done for you. You screamed at me to get out. I said, you told me never to come back. Rowan's breath hitched. I didn't mean it like that. You meant it enough to watch me leave with one bag and not check if I made it home alive. A soft, shaky sound came through the line, Rowan crying now. Mom, please. We're falling apart. Tyler spoke next. Quieter, but sharper. This isn't you, Mom. You don't quit on family. You raised us to stay together. I raised you to take responsibility. I said, all 3 of you keep forgetting that part. He sucked in a breath. If you walk away now, you're abandoning us. I'm not abandoning anyone. I said, I'm stepping out of a job that never should have been mine. The silence that followed felt thick, crowded with everything they wanted to say, but couldn't shape into excuses anymore. Rowan tried one last time. "Mom, we need you." "No," I said. "You need to handle your own mess." I ended the call before any of them could respond. The phone buzzed again, instantly Rowan, then Jude, then Tyler. I blocked each number, one by one. When the last one disappeared from the screen, the room went still. The quiet wasn't empty. It was mine. In the weeks that followed, the quiet shifted into something softer. I bought a small bookshelf from a thrift shop and set it against the wall of my apartment. Hal helped me carry it upstairs, grunting as he lifted the heavier end. "You settling in all right?" he asked. "I think I finally am," I said. I signed up for a community garden on the hilltop side of Tacoma. On my first morning there, a woman in her 60s handed me a pair of gloves. "I'm Donna," she said. "We're always glad to have another set of hands." We worked side by side, pulling weeds and sharing small stories. No one expected anything from me. No one needed me to rescue them. One afternoon, I drove to Puyallup to meet an old friend I hadn't seen in years. Linda hugged me the second she saw me. "You look lighter," she said. "I feel lighter," I answered. I finally stepped out of something I should have left a long time ago. There were no more frantic calls, no more guilt, no more being the quiet foundation everyone walked on without noticing. Leaving my daughter's house wasn't abandonment. It was the first act of self-respect I'd given myself in decades. And now, every choice, every step, every breath belongs to me. If you've ever carried a family alone, tell me in the comments which part of my story felt familiar. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the next one.